Sri Lanka is a small island with an unusually large place in history. Sitting in the Indian Ocean just southeast of India, it has been known by many names, including Lanka, Serendib, and, during the colonial era, Ceylon. Today, its official name is the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. On a map, it appears compact, almost like a teardrop below the Indian subcontinent. But that location has shaped almost everything about the country: its trade, its culture, its religions, its conflicts, and its modern geopolitical importance. For thousands of years, Sri Lanka has been more than an island on the edge of South Asia. It has been a meeting point between India, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and the wider Indian Ocean world. Geographically, Sri Lanka lies southwest of the Bay of Bengal and is separated from India by the Gulf of Mannar and the Pak Strait. These narrow waters have always made Sri Lanka close enough to the Indian subcontinent for cultural exchange, migration, and political influence, but separate enough to develop its own distinctive identity. To the southwest, it shares a maritime boundary with the Maldives. To the northeast, across the Bay of Bengal, lie Bangladesh and Myanmar, while India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands sit to the east. This position places Sri Lanka near some of the busiest sea lanes in the world. Ships moving between the Middle East, Africa, India, and East Asia pass through waters not far from its coast. Sri Lanka's capitals also reveal something about how the country functions. Colombo is the largest city and the island's main political, financial, and cultural center. It is also the executive and judicial capital, home to key institutions, businesses, ports, and much of the country's urban energy. Nearby Sri Jayawardhanapura Kotte serves as the legislative capital, where the national parliament is located. This split capital arrangement reflects the practical reality that Colombo remains the heart of modern Sri Lankan life, even as formal government functions are distributed. The city's port has long connected the island to global trade, and its streets reflect layers of local, colonial, and international influence. Sri Lanka has a population of around 22 million people, and its society is ethnically and linguistically diverse. The largest group is the Sinhalese, who make up roughly 3/4 of the population and mainly speak Sinhala. Tamils, who speak Tamil, form the next largest group, including Sri Lankan Tamils with long roots in the north and east, and Indian Tamils whose ancestors were brought during the colonial period to work on plantations. Other long-established communities include Moors, Burghers, Malays, Chinese, and the Vedda, often described as an indigenous people of the island. This diversity has enriched Sri Lankan culture, but it has also shaped political tensions, especially around language, identity, and power. The island's history is exceptionally deep. Archaeological evidence suggests prehistoric human settlement dating back as far as 125,000 years, while its documented history stretches over 3,000 years. Ancient Sri Lanka developed powerful kingdoms, complex irrigation systems, urban centers, and religious institutions. One of the most important early periods was the Anuradhapura era, when the island became known across the Indian Ocean as a trading and religious center. Its rulers built reservoirs, monasteries, stupas, and cities that demonstrated both political organization and engineering skill. Sri Lanka's ancient history is not just a story of kings and monuments, it is also a story of how an island adapted to monsoons, agriculture, and maritime exchange. Buddhism became one of the defining forces in Sri Lankan civilization. The island is especially important in Buddhist history because the Pali Canon, a major collection of early Buddhist scriptures, was written down there around 29 BCE. This helped preserve the teachings of Theravada Buddhism and gave Sri Lanka a central role in the religion's transmission. Monasteries became centers of learning, art, and political legitimacy. Buddhism deeply influenced kingship, architecture, literature, and social life, particularly among the Sinhalese majority. At the same time, Sri Lanka has also been home to Hindu, Muslim, Christian, and indigenous traditions, making its religious landscape layered rather than uniform. Sri Lanka's location made it valuable to traders long before European empires arrived. Arab, Persian, Indian, and Southeast Asian merchants connected the island to networks carrying spices, gems, textiles, elephants, and other goods. Its harbors and position along the ancient maritime Silk Road meant that ships could stop, resupply, and exchange cargo. This brought wealth and outside influence, but it also made the island a prize. The same geography that helped Sri Lanka prosper also attracted powers that wanted control over trade. For centuries, coastal ports and inland kingdoms balanced local politics with international pressures, creating a history shaped by both internal rivalry and global connection. European colonial involvement began in the 16th century, when the Portuguese established themselves during a period of political upheaval in the Kingdom of Kotte. The Portuguese sought control over coastal trade and conversion to Christianity, while local kingdoms resisted or negotiated depending on circumstance. The island was not politically unified at the time. Kotte, Kandy, and Sitawaka competed with one another, and these rivalries created openings for foreign intervention. After conflict between Sinhalese powers and the Portuguese, the Dutch eventually displaced Portugal in many coastal areas. Dutch rule focused heavily on commerce, especially cinnamon and maritime trade, while the inland kingdom of Kandy remained a major center of resistance. By the early 19th century, the British Empire took control of the island and eventually brought the entire territory under colonial rule. Under Britain, Ceylon became a plantation economy, especially known for tea, rubber, and coconut. The British built railways, ports, and administrative systems, but these developments were designed largely to serve imperial economic interests. Colonial rule also changed the island's social structure. English education created new elites, while plantation labor transformed demographics, especially in the Central Highlands. In the early 20th century, nationalist movements grew stronger, demanding greater self-government and eventually independence. In 1948, Ceylon became independent as a dominion, ending formal British colonial rule. After independence, Sri Lanka faced the challenge of building a national identity from a diverse society shaped by colonial institutions and older ethnic communities. In 1972, the country became a republic and changed its name from Ceylon to Sri Lanka. But post-independence politics were increasingly marked by disputes over language, representation, education, land, and the place of minorities in the state. Tensions between Sinhalese-dominated governments and Tamil communities intensified over decades. These tensions did not come from a single event, they grew from accumulated grievances, competing nationalisms, and failures of political compromise. The result was one of the most painful chapters in the island's modern history. From 1983 to 2009, Sri Lanka was torn by civil war between the Sri Lankan Armed Forces and the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, or LTTE, a Tamil separatist militant organization seeking an independent state in the north and east. The war was devastating, causing large-scale displacement, trauma, and loss of life. It affected nearly every aspect of national life, from security and politics to the economy and international relations. The conflict ended in 2009 with the defeat of the separatists, but the end of fighting did not automatically resolve the deeper questions of reconciliation, accountability, minority rights, and political trust. The legacy of the war remains central to understanding Sri Lanka today. In the 21st century, Sri Lanka is a developing country with some of the strongest human development indicators in South Asia and one of the region's higher GDP per capita levels. Its deep harbors and location near major shipping routes continue to give it strategic importance. This makes Sri Lanka attractive to regional and global powers interested in trade, infrastructure, and influence in the Indian Ocean. The country is also active internationally, with membership in organizations such as SARC, the G77, the Non-Aligned Movement, and the Commonwealth of Nations. Sri Lanka's story is therefore not just about an island nation. It is about how geography, culture, trade, empire, conflict, and resilience can shape a country across thousands of years. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.